Hello, this is John Ramsey, and this is my big comeback. I have one of our local attorneys with us today, Jillian Goldhagen. Now, they may see a familiarity with the name because Matthew was one of my guests on here, and I appreciate the beautiful Goldhagen Law Cup that you brought me today. So, are y'all sharing an office, working together?
We are. We're at 502 Harmon. We've been working together since April. It's going very well.
Does that work good?
It's going really well.
Yeah. So you kind of share office, like as far as office staff, or everyone has their own?
We share office staff right now, but we do completely different areas of law, so there's not a lot of crossover, so I think we're able to make it work that way.
I think he told me he did more like street law, contract, stuff like that. What's your focus?
I do criminal defense.
Criminal defense.
He focuses on the civil aspect, construction, contracts, business, money and property.
Money and property.
Generally only do criminal defense and things associated with criminal defense.
So like someone get arrested, they're going to call you in the middle of the night and say, hey, how do I get bailed out or whatever like that? I mean, it's gritty.
It is gritty. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And I think a lot of people who don't have experience with the criminal justice system, and so it's a new thing, and they're like, where do we even start?
What moved you into that area of law? How'd you pick that one?
Well, we moved here in 2020, which was in the height of the pandemic. And my husband got a job here. So I started at the state attorney's office as a prosecutor. And then from there, I had an opportunity to get into the defense side of things. And here we are now, and it's been great.
You like it, though. You like criminal law, though. Huh?
I love it. I love it. It's, I see the problems and cases my husband deals with, and after only doing criminal law, it's very interesting, the different types of cases that I see versus what he's dealing with on the criminal side.
Yeah, it's the other side of the
civil
spectrum.
side,
Yeah.
Very different.
So do you have where'd you go to school?
I went to my undergrad. I went to UCF, and then I did my law degree at Barry in Orlando.
Oh, okay. Did y'all meet in law school, or?
We did. We met first year of law school. So
that's a lot. So really Panama City, you've been here what, 5 years, 6 years, something like that,
coming up on 6 years.
How you liking the area?
We like it. We've really, we've set some rates down, and we're here long term, and we're making the most of it, and we're enjoying, the friends we've made and the connections we've made. But it's different than Orlando or, coming from a bigger area.
Are you from the Orlando area?
Yes, I grew up in the suburbs of Orlando.
Yeah.
And then was in New Smyrna Beach for about 10 years.
Orlando's really changed the last 20 years. I know, when I go down there, it's just the tourism is just so hyper. Everything is just so congested, and I don't think I'd like it.
And we go back and we'll take the kids to Disney, and we get on I-4, and we are very, very happy to be back in Bay County and not having real highways.
It is. It's just super congested. And I had heard a statistic one time that Orlando was the hotel capital of the world, even more so than New York or London. There are more hotel rooms in Orlando, Florida than anywhere else in the world, which is shocking,
Yeah, we've enjoyed the, I don't want to say slower pace of life up here, but it takes us 10 minutes to get to the office every day.
Panama City, and I hear people from Panama City say, oh, they're all the way out on the beach, and I'm thinking, all the way out on the beach? I mean, what are you talking about, 20 minutes, 15 minutes? I mean, it's like if you lived in Atlanta or Orlando, across town is an hour, you know, so that's nothing.
No, I was living in New Smyrna Beach, driving to Orlando to law school every day. It took me almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, because New Smyrna Beach is a whole nother city. That's not Orlando.
No.
And you were driving every day to law school.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know much about that school. Tell me about it.
It's in downtown Orlando, off Colonial. I think their main campus is outside of Miami. But I had, really kind of limited options of I had young kids, and how do I keep them where they are without moving the whole family to do law school.
That was tough going through law school as a mother and all, huh?
Yeah, I single mommed my way through law school.
That's amazing.
And it was difficult. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But my kids saw that experience, and there was times where their school was out, and I brought one of my kids to sit next to me in law school.
Oh, wow.
You make it work, and You have to. You have to provide for your kids in that.
Good for you. I mean, that's quite a feat. I mean, you don't hear many people get through law school anyway, and then to get through law school as a single mother, that's a pretty big deal.
I had a good support system
That's
between,
good.
my mom, and I had some help with the kids.
Yeah,
'Cause there were definitely some long nights studying.
I guess so. I guess so. So, you in law school, is that where you made your decision for criminal law, or after you got out and
No, actually, it's funny is you don't really know. I
Yeah.
didn't really know
You
what
don't
I
really
wanted
know.
to do. You don't
Yeah.
have. I didn't have any experience
Yeah.
in the legal field. I actually was like, I will do anything except criminal law. It's like that was the
Really?
one thing I don't want to do. I have kind of like a concentration in law school. I did environmental law, and I quickly realized that environmental law is really working with people so they can legally cut down the trees, not saving the trees.
Whoa.
And so I really do like the administrative
Yeah.
type law. But starting at the state attorney's office, that was a great experience, and realizing I really do like
Yeah.
criminal law, and you, it's very fulfilling
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
I feel like you can really have a good impact and a lasting impact on people's lives on how cases are resolved.
My daughter's an attorney in Birmingham, and of course, she's pretty new at it. I think she's in her second year now, or third year. And the firm she was at is a big firm, and they had her go 6 months in different kind of law. So and of course, she would call us and tell us what she hated, what she never wanted to do again. And there's the struggle of everyone needs help. So it's a thing of, I think she's about settled on corporate law is what she's looking at. She didn't want to do personal injury. She thought she wanted to do family law until she did it, and then she said, "No, I don't want to do this." So it's tough. It's tough to find your place.
It is. I think every area of law has their pros and
Yeah,
cons, and
yeah.
you settle in. And I try not to dabble, in too many different
Yeah.
things. Like to be good at what you know.
Yeah.
But I do things that are, kind of criminal law adjacent. So I'll do injunction hearings as well if it's,
Yeah.
Semi-connected to a criminal case. I'll do traffic tickets if it's related to a DUI. But I try to stay in my realm.
And unless there's a plea, most criminal cases go to trial, right?
I would say the opposite.
What's the ratio? I mean, 10%, 15% of them go to trial?
I wouldn't put it that high.
Really?
No.
Most of the time they settle, take a plea.
I would say that most cases get resolved with a plea.
Really?
Yeah, and it's always your right to go to trial, but the cases that are going to trial, it's either somebody wants to, or your client wants to say, "This is I want the jury, I want the judge to
Yeah.
hear what I have to say," and it may be more of a principle matter, or it could be one of those cases where you really do have a good defense and you just can't come up with a resolution with the state. But most cases do get resolved with the plea.
I was actually a jury foreman on a jury for a DUI case is what it was. And I was shocked how it turned out because it was like at the beginning of the case, it was slam dunk, man, this guy's guilty, he did it. By the end of the case, I voted not guilty. I mean, when I heard the other side of the story, it changed my mind. And, it came to something like he refused a breathalyzer, which, I guess you can do in the state of Florida, but isn't it that you lose your license for a year if you refuse to take one in the field test? Is that what it is?
Yes and no. So there's a little more nitty gritty to it than.
Tell me.
Yeah. So anytime you're arrested for a DUI, there's two separate actions that occur. So right off the bat, there is going to be an administrative license suspension from the Florida DMV. And then you also have the criminal case through the court system. So for a lot of people, a DUI, they may go into court and they say, "Yeah, I did this. I'm gonna go ahead and just plead guilty." But there's a lot of implications that can have on your
Yeah.
livelihood in the state. And when you're in court, that doesn't deal with the administrative action. So if it's your first offense, you have a few options. You can either have a hearing to try to get the license suspension off of your record, or you may be eligible for a hardship license
Yeah.
if it's your first offense. If it's not your first offense, even if you've been arrested for an alcohol-related offense before, the DMV is going to suspend your license, and your only option is to have a hearing.
Yeah.
Well, you have to make that election within the first 10 days
Yeah.
to have the hearing to fight the administrative license suspension. So a lot of times, even if you have an attorney, you may have missed your mark
Yeah.
to try to fight that administrative suspension. And then you're also looking at a separate license suspension through the court system. So there's a lot of moving parts with the DUI. Actually, October 1st, they just rolled out new law that even your first refusal to provide a breath sample or a urine sample or blood sample, they will suspend your license. And
Really? So it's just automatic suspensions?
Let me backtrack. They will give you a criminal citation for refusal.
Yeah.
Previously, it was just if it was your second refusal, it was a misdemeanor. Now it's your first refusal, you're also looking at a misdemeanor.
Yeah. So like if you got pulled over and you refused to do the field test, breathalyzer, whatever, they can arrest you. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you see these things, and I know, and here's what I think people don't realize is every state is different. Every state has different laws. You see these things on TikTok where they're like, I don't have to roll down my window, I don't have to answer questions. I'm thinking, what world do these people live in? I think they make it more difficult on themselves by resisting law enforcement.
Yes. So when you are, detained and they have a lawful reason to be detaining you, officers can ask for your information.
Yeah.
I tell people it's always in your best interest to cooperate, but you don't have to go past what's required.
Yeah.
You don't have to give them your full life story.
Yeah.
You can give them the information that they need without further implicating yourself.
Yeah, the old criminal defense attorney advice: stop talking.
Stop talking.
Stop talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of DUI arrests around here where people don't, do the field sobriety exercises and they don't provide a breath sample, and it's the officer's observations, and they can go based off of that. And
which they can tell you're impaired. I mean,
it's so the way the law is in Florida is if you're in actual physical control of a motor vehicle, so you get you hear stories of people getting DUIs in their back seat because they had the ability to be in actual physical control of their vehicle, but it's either that your blood or breath is over an 08 or that your normal faculties are impaired. So they don't need a breath sample to still bring a case to trial or prove the DUI.
I get that. Well, and so like, say a person gets arrested, they get taken into the jail or whatever. The old thing of should I ask for an attorney is, of course, yes, because you're going to implicate yourself by things you don't know are implicating yourself. Yes. So the old things of stop talking, ask for an attorney. But you see, and I'm just I'm watching TV, I'm TikToking in my head or whatever. You see these people they'll sit there for 3 or 4 hours and waiting on an attorney or trying to get that arranged. I mean, can you sit there legally and say nothing? You really can, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's what you should do.
Yeah, you should.
That's what you should do. You should wait for your attorney.
I think a lot of it is, there's a lot of people who, like I said, don't have any experience with, the criminal justice system, and they've never been in that situation. And so the initial thought is, if I'm cooperative and I give all the information to the officers and I'm being polite, I'm not saying not be polite, but oversharing. The thought is maybe that'll help me, but all it's doing is giving, additional evidence to the state
give stuff for them to work with.
Yeah.
And you may not think they could use that, but there's things you say that you're not thinking of. So what's a typical day look like in a criminal defense attorney? I mean, you just wait for the call or what's happening?
We go to court a lot.
Yeah.
We, as opposed to what my husband does with civil, it seems like they only go to court if there's something to be done, right? We do a lot of showing up, hey, judge, this is where we're at in the case, really status updates. But I think that's good. It really keeps things moving along, so it's not just hanging out, forever. Because people are stressed. They want these cases to be resolved.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a lot hanging
quickly.
over your head.
Yeah. So we're in court a couple times a week. A lot of reviewing body cameras, going through all of the discovery, which is the evidence that the state has that they're going to use to prove the case. So fielding phone calls of, new clients and status updates with our own clients and asking for documentation. So Every day is different, but a lot of it's going through all the evidence and making sure that the state is able to prove their case.
Yeah. Would you recommend someone have one of those dash cameras or something? I mean, did it help you or hurt you? Or, I mean, of course, if you're innocent, I guess it would help you.
Yeah, it depends on the situation. I think that there are some crazy drivers out there right now.
Yeah.
You know, we bought them for our cars.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I guess the number one thing is do not drink and drive. I mean, that's just a terribly dangerous thing to do that could harm your family and other people's families. And I mean, you know, I don't know what the figure is, but years ago they advertised that the average DUI costs you anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 with you know, lawyers' fees and court fees and all the stuff, which is terrible. I mean, you're costing yourself a lot of money, but the biggest thing is you're endangering the lives of other people. So don't drink and drive. It's the number one thing I would say, huh?
yeah, and there's a lot of, you know, we live on our phones, there's ways to get home, but it's also, you know, when we talk about who gets DUIs, it's one of those crimes that doesn't really, it spans across all of the socioeconomic
it does.
Things. You know, you see it on every end. Anybody can make a mistake, and so that doesn't negate the dangerous aspect of it. But
and I think probably the easiest mistake to make is you thinking you haven't drank that much, and not be aware. I mean, it depends on what you're drinking. Depends on, you know, what would harm some people or what would impair some people would not impair other people, but it might impair you very easily. So don't risk it.
yeah, no, don't risk it. But then you also, you know, we on the other side of that, you know, on the defense side of it, we're also like, well, an officer comes up to your window and they're like, hey, license and registration. You have a conversation. They say, hey, how much have you had to drink tonight? Because they smell the odor of alcohol. Well, the odor of alcohol doesn't tell someone how impaired you are.
Yeah,
it just
not
tells
at
you
all.
how recent, you know, the consumption is.
Is that a question you shouldn't answer? How much have you had to drink tonight?
I wouldn't answer it.
You wouldn't answer.
I wouldn't answer it, but it's also, you know, if I know I've only had 1 or 2 beers with dinner or a glass of wine, I know my normal faculties are okay. And so when we do jury selection, that's one of the questions. I said, does anybody have a few drinks with dinner? Mostly hands go up. You know, yes, we'll have a drink or two. Did you know it's not unlawful to drink and drive? It's unlawful to be impaired to the point that your normal faculties are impaired or be over an 08. And so there's not this general prohibition that you can't go have a few drinks. It's that at what level is it?
It's how it affects you. It's the time in which it was drank.
I mean, everybody's different.
You know, everyone's different.
And that's what, you know, that's another thing I'll point out to a jury is, you know, I'll pick a big muscly guy on the jury. I'm like, well, one drink may affect you a lot differently than it affects me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, my client who is a tiny, you know, woman.
Yeah.
So it depends person to person. But we also have to realize that the standard or the burden to arrest is a lot lower than what the state attorney's office needs to prove at the end of the day if it goes to trial.
Yeah.
So while the officer may have thought they had enough to arrest on scene, that doesn't necessarily mean that their case will end in, you know, some sort of guilty conviction.
Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Heroes Child is a nonprofit organization that is on a mission to help community heroes with the everyday cost of childcare. We know that heroes like our military personnel, first responders, and foster families need care for their children. Heroes Child awards these families scholarships that go to help pay their childcare tuition. Use the QR code on the screen to donate now or visit heroeschild.org today.
Right, I'm back here with Jillian Goldhagen. We're talking about criminal law and what she does, and you know, criminal law. You're dealing with people's lives that have been taken, people that have been harmed. How do you not have the emotions of your case bleed over into your home life?
It's difficult. You get connected with your clients, and you develop a personal relationship. So it is hard.
Because you care about people.
You do. You care about people, and you take on this like social work aspect because it may not just be the criminal case. It may be affecting other parts of their life. And So it does feel, sometimes like a burden, like, well, this person can lose their career and their livelihood if their case doesn't get resolved a certain way. So it is difficult, but at the end of the day, have to stay focused on, the matter we need to get resolved. Trying not to bring it home.
I talked with an attorney one time, a different attorney, and he told me that he was one of these people that hated to lose. I mean, it just devastated him if he lost the case. And he had to come to terms with at the beginning of the case, some of the cases were unwinnable, but the client still expected him to win, and he still took it personal when he lost. And he said he had to really come to terms with that I'm not going to win every case. And then he said it taught him to be more honest with his clients and tell them, look, I don't even want to take this because you're not going to win. What I'd like to do is to convince you to let's come out with a good outcome, from the best outcome we can. But, he would have people bring him these impossible cases where they were obviously guilty, and then want him to get him off. And he said, that's not, I can't do it. And he had to learn real quick to lower expectations. It's the old doctor analogy, when part of the medical school training is to not build things up too much that they have a crushing defeat, So the doctor says, I'm going to do everything I can to make things better, and to tell them your chances aren't good. So they'll be thrilled when you make it, because, you'd rather do that than everyone walk out of the room and say, oh, he's going to fix me, everything's going to be okay, and it not be okay.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of managing expectations, and not miracle workers, can't pull a rabbit out of the hat. And, a lot of it is here are the facts in front of us. Here's the evidence that the state has. And sometimes they have enough, and those cases turn into mitigation. And what can we do to still get you that best possible result, given the evidence that we have in front of us? I don't say a lot of times, but sometimes it really is of how can we make you not just a number on somebody's desk, and how can we show the state attorney's office that you have a good career, you're a productive member of society, to kind of offset what they may be looking at. So no, not every case is a winnable case.
It's not.
But even if someone comes to me and says, listen, I did this, I messed up, the state and the law enforcement, they still needed to get there the right way without your rights being violated. So, my recommendation when I have people call me and they say, I messed up, this is what happened, I did this, do I need an attorney? I always say yes. It's always in your best interest to have someone actually look at the evidence and make sure that your rights weren't violated in that process. Yeah.
So is criminal always beyond a reasonable doubt? Is that the standard for all criminal law?
Yes, at trial, that's the standard.
At the trial.
And what the state needs to prove at trial is beyond a reasonable doubt.
When I said I was a foreman on a jury, the attorney, I won't give his name because I don't want to identify the case, but basically he raised a huge reasonable doubt, and that changed my mind. And what it was is the person refused the breathalyzer, was booked into the jail, and they always take a video of the person at the jail being booked, and they didn't bring it. Of course, when the attorney asked, why didn't you bring this video? And their answer was, because we didn't bring it. And that was like a huge red flag for all of the jury, because it was like, why not? If you, and then of course the attorney just hammered the case of, do you take this every time? Is there ever a case or the video camera's turned off, whatever? And the answer was no. We videotape every time. They're always videotaped. We always videotape when we book somebody. And then he came back to, so why didn't you bring that videotape? And the answer kept being, because we didn't bring it. It was a huge red flag for us, because there was something missing.
Yeah, and even part of the jury instructions are what the evidence or the lack of evidence.
Yeah, the lack of evidence.
And we'll say in jury selection, when we're picking the jury to be on the panel, of at no time do you look to the defense to prove the case. We'll joke and say we could sit here and do the Wordle or play tic-tac-toe all trial, and you can't look to us to prove the case. It's it's the state's burden to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Well, and as a jury foreman, we go back in the room to deliberate, and it kept coming up, well, has he done this before, whatever? I said, we're not allowed to consider that. we're deciding this, and in sentencing they can consider that, but right now we're considering this particular incident.
Yeah, we
Did he
need
do it or did
we
he
need
not
you
do
on
it?
every jury.
Well, I mean, because I knew that, they could, well, if we knew that he's already had 3 DUIs, we'd think different. You would think different, but we're not allowed to know that. And we don't know. We didn't know it. And we're not allowed to know it because that doesn't mean that he did it this time.
Yeah, and that actually, if that was brought in to trial, that could be grounds for a mistrial. So
Yeah,
you're supposed to go in to those trials as a juror knowing nothing,
Yeah, and
knowing
they
just
didn't.
what's
They
presented
didn't know
to you.
anything, and we steered them away from trying to figure it out because we don't need to figure it out. We need to figure out what's the evidence on this. But I'm a good juror person, Try to be, and honestly, there was abundance of reasonable doubt raised, and we voted to acquit the person. Now that may have been a mistake. Well, we don't know, but the truth is what was brought before us. We doubted that everything we needed to know was there, so hopefully we did the right thing. It's what every juror hopes is that we did the right thing.
Yeah, and as a juror, you have to, stand strong in your own convictions and try not to be influenced if you feel one way. And
What's the longest case you've ever had? Because, I always think of the O.J. Simpson case where, like, these people's lives were taken over for a year. I mean, wouldn't that be awful to be on a jury that goes on and on and on? What's the longest case you've ever
oh
had?
gosh, well, thankfully for us here in Bay County, most cases aren't multiple day trials. Even significant felony cases generally don't span more than a day.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's a murder, but a DUI case, you're in and out the same day.
Yeah. And I think some people are afraid of jury duty because of that. Oh, I don't want to get on the wrong case. Well, in Panama City, at the longest you might be a week, and that's very unlikely. Mostly a couple of days, a day or a couple of days.
Yeah, if you're at the misdemeanor level or a second or third degree felony, you're probably looking at just 1 day of service.
Yeah. Do you feel like we got a pretty good amount of attorneys? And I know the court log and the case log at the courthouse is still, even after adding all those judges, is still huge. I mean, you think we're still shorthanded as far as judges and courtrooms and stuff?
I don't think so. They may not agree with that statement. They just hired a few new judges.
Yeah.
But there was a backlog with COVID that's gone through.
That was a mess.
That was a mess. I think a lot of it has to do with being able to get a good staff at the state attorney's office, and with their turnover of how quickly cases get moving. But I would say in the last year or so, things have really started to move again. Which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because if your life is in limbo, if you're in the middle of you're on trial or being accused of something, you want your life back.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. So you mentioned a couple of laws changing October. Is there anything big that's changed in this last couple of years with DUIs or anything like that? Is there a mandatory sentence for first DUI, second DUI, third DUI?
So DUIs are one of kind of the few misdemeanors that, if you're convicted, it's a statutory penalty. So the state of Florida, if you're convicted, they're going to say this is what has to happen. And so those penalties are going to change, whether it's your first offense or second offense or even your third offense. A second or third within a certain time frame will carry some required jail time. But any DUI conviction is going to come with DUI school, a license suspension, potentially an interlock device that you put on your vehicle. So there's not a whole lot of wiggle room.
So like it's a breathing tube before you start your car or whatever. Do those work?
Yeah.
I
think they're
I've never seen one. I've never seen one, but I've heard that. I mean, I think it's a good idea. If you feel like you have that problem, or I guess you don't have a choice. If you go,
I don't think you have a choice.
You don't have a choice.
No.
What's the initial fine for a DUI? Or is there a set amount?
There's not a set amount. There's kind of a range. We generally, if it's your first offense, you're generally in the $1,000 range with the court. It could go up. It could be less. It's very fact specific.
Yeah.
About $1,000 though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it all comes down to don't drink and drive. I mean, that's what you just don't need to risk your family and your life and other people's safety. It's just not a good thing. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Are you ready to connect your organization with an audience that is eager for inspiration? The My Big Comeback podcast, hosted by John R. Ramsey, shares powerful stories of resilience and redemption, featuring guests who have turned life setbacks into major comebacks. New episodes drop the 1st and 15th of every month. For those interested in being a part of this community, sponsorship opportunities are now available. To learn more, contact Meredith Cobb at meredithcobbhwc@gmail.com. Let's make a big comeback together.
Hey, this is John Ramsey. You're watching My Big Comeback. I'm here with Jillian Goldhagen of Goldhagen Law. We've been talking about law. We've been talking about DUIs and the terrible, terrible cost that is to so many people that make that poor decision. We hope you never drink and drive. And I want to talk to you about a little more personal stuff now. Like, what are you reading these days? What do you like to read?
Ooh, I actually just bought a new John Grisham book.
Oh yeah, I like John Grisham.
Well, I try not to read too many of them because it's like I deal with law stuff all day. And I get home and I read more of a legal drama, but it's familiar.
Yeah,
I do a lot of reading.
I mean, I like John Grisham. I think he's very
easy.
interesting. Yeah,
like my husband reads nonfiction. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need to come home and I need to escape. So I read a lot of fiction, but
What else besides John Grisham?
I don't know that there's.
You like
a
historical
specific-
fiction?
I like historical fiction. A lot of what I've been reading these days is more of like suspense thrillers.
I just read a thriller called The Fourth Monkey.
Oh.
It is a little intense. I mean, I was listening to it on Audible, and I almost turned it off because it was just a little bit much for me. A little bit graphic as far as the murder scene and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, but some people like it. I mean, it's
I'm not really into horror, so try to
and this borderline that, and I wasn't expecting that. Kind of like, remember the Brad Pitt Morgan Freeman movie, The Seven, years ago. Did you ever watch that?
No.
Yeah, it was about a serial killer. It was bad. Stuff like that can get a little too graphic for me, so I kind of on the edge. I like historical fiction. All the Light We Cannot See is one of my favorite books. It was a World War II historical fiction. Of course, I like John Steinbeck. Killers of the Flower Moon, we've talked to sometimes on here. It actually tells about the beginning of the FBI. The FBI was created because of this case, and it's interesting stuff. So as far as like you're from Orlando, did I hear Matthew say he was from New York?
From New York.
Yeah, New York. So different parts of the country.
Yep, New York, and then he ended up in Georgia with the military, and here we are in Panama City.
So he's traveled a lot, especially with his deployments and stuff like that. But what about you? Have you been to very many places?
Not really.
Yeah.
Just some domestic traveling.
Where do you want to go? What's on your bucket list?
We have a belated. We never took a honeymoon, so our bucket list is to go to Italy. So we're hoping in the next year we can make that happen. We were waiting for the toddler to get a little older.
My daughter that got married she got married this past summer, and they went to Italy for 2 weeks for their honeymoon, and he is like a Godfather nut. Her husband loves the movie The Godfather. So they did what they call a Godfather tour in Italy, which I'm thinking I've never even heard of such a thing. But they went to all this because they filmed most of that movie in Italy, or a lot of the movie, and so they went to all the sites and all the historic places and stuff, and it seemed beautiful. It's on my bucket list. I want to go to Italy. I'm probably not going to make that my first trip to Europe because I want to go somewhere where they speak English first. As I'll probably go to Great Britain and Ireland and stuff. But I'd like to go to Italy. That would be a good thing.
I've done Britain. I've done Paris.
Yeah. Well, you've been to some big places. Yeah. How did you like Paris?
It was cold.
We
went.
Are they mean to Americans in Paris?
I didn't have that experience.
You didn't have that experience. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
We just want to travel and eat good food.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Where we're at.
Exactly what we want to do. We just want to eat good food. That's really what we want to go do. So when you went to Britain and Paris, was it the same trip or separate trips?
It was the same trip.
Yeah. And everyone's told me you can do that. You can do Paris and London and all that in one trip. But they said if you're going to do Italy, you need to do that a separate trip. A little bit separated from all that.
It's crazy. I grew up in Florida, so not super, well versed with public transportation.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. Just being able to kind of hop from
You took
place
a
to
train
place.
from Britain to Paris?
Took the Channel.
Oh, wow. I don't know.
I don't
I don't. You know, everyone I've talked to, they half of them drive, half of them take the train. You know, and all that. But I don't know which I'd feel more comfortable with. The language barrier would bother me. So because I don't speak French, you know, it would bother me a little bit. So
You'll see. I think Italy would be good. I hope.
yeah,
I think
it'd be
there's
good.
enough people that they know enough languages that we
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
back.
Well, and that's what they tell me. They said most of the tourist areas in Europe are very friendly as far as American and English speaking and stuff like that, because a lot of people on the other parts of Europe, they visit one another, so they have to accommodate that some because they're used to it. They're used to it. Where if you go to some of the other places, like I've got an invitation to go to Uganda, I don't really want to go. If I really feel, God tells me in my spirit to go, I'll go. But He hasn't, so I'm not going. I've got an invitation to go to Australia. I don't really have that much desire to go. I may go at some time, but I don't know.
Australia seems like a big trip.
That's
Takes a long time to get there.
long plane ride. But so is Hawaii. Have you been to Hawaii?
I've not.
It's a long way, and so that's the same kind of thing. I don't know that I'm really ready to do that, but never know. So, you see a lot of the Europe. I think would be a good a first time abroad. Is what I'm thinking. You see a lot of people do that for their first time going abroad, and I think that'd be good. What about in America, in the United States? So you've been to New York,
I've
I'm
not
sure.
been to New York.
You've not?
I've not been to New York.
Hasn't taken you home and took you on the New York tour and all that?
No, it's on the short list.
Yeah.
We're going to Vegas next week.
Yeah.
No, we've had 3 kids. It's hard
Yeah.
to get
It's hard
out.
to get away.
Yeah.
It's hard to get away. It is. And I'm thankfully mine is getting older now. My youngest is in high school, so we're getting a little more free, but it hasn't been that way before.
It's difficult, but we see the light. It's
Yeah.
it's on the horizon. We're leaving next week, so we're excited.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Do you feel like a lot of what you do is law, that you'll stick with it a long time? You like it? You settled in?
Yeah,
You
yes.
got in the rhythm.
in the
of it.
rhythm, and you're working for ourselves now. We have a
Yeah.
little more flexibility.
Yeah.
Never turn off, but you have
Yeah.
a little more flexibility. But there's comfort in what right?
Yeah.
And you kind of
Yeah.
keep doing that. But we may broaden, the scope of what we do in terms of, the legal fields that we are
Yeah.
handling. But no, it's a long term.
Yeah. Yeah, you like it. Well, and
I
that's,
love it.
law is a rhythm. You really do have to get in the rhythm of it, of where you're knowing what you're doing every week. It's not a surprise every week. You know what's coming. When you take a case, you know the steps.
So there's a lot of surprises,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah. I
but
guess
generally
so, yeah.
speaking, it's everything kind of goes through the motions and it gets resolved one way or the other.
Yeah.
But ultimately, criminal defense, it's very fulfilling. You're making,
Yeah.
like I said, you're making a lasting impact in someone's life,
Yeah.
and I've had clients come back and they're just so thankful to say,
Yeah.
that because of this resolution or this dismissal, like these are
Yeah.
the things that happened, or even
Yeah.
while the case was pending, being able to, reunite, family members or
Yeah.
someone who potentially couldn't see their child while their case was,
Oh,
pending.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of other like personal aspects that aren't just about, the conviction or getting someone, a dismissal at the end of it.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest things for me as a criminal defense attorney is it's so easy for, I've heard law enforcement say, well, whatever, we'll let the state attorney's office handle it. Well,
Yeah.
there's so many other things that go along with it that someone's
You don't
life
want,
is
you don't want to just
impacted.
get lumped in a bucket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's like with a DUI, right? You have an administrative action that you have to handle, or if it's a battery case, there's a no contact with someone, you may not be able to go back to your home. So there's other little aspects of an arrest that someone may not just think of. Okay, we've gotten this arrest, but what else is it affecting
Yeah.
in someone's life? So
A
it's
lot
not
of tentacles on it, and
lots
a lot
of
of things.
tentacles.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something that you had to really weigh the case by case, I guess,
Yes.
to what a person's life is being affected by it and how you can help them. Yeah, and people get in situations where they need help. And thank goodness there's people like you that they can call and get some help. And, you know, has there ever been a time where you felt like it was too big of a case that they needed something more than what you could do, or it was going to take up too much time, you know, maybe a long case?
Yeah, I generally don't handle cases that involve child victims.
Yeah.
There are other great defense attorneys in the area that I refer them to.
You feel like it's an emotional crisis or something that you really, not a crisis, but an emotional conflict because of that, or just what is it that you wouldn't take a case like that?
Sometimes, and it is really truly a case by case basis.
Yeah,
And so, you know, I don't have a blanket prohibition of I don't do this type of
You have to
case.
look at the case.
Every case is different.
Yeah.
And you know, as I've grown in my practice, I'm able to look at a case and say, maybe I'm not the best fit for this type of case, and we refer them to other attorneys.
You've lived other places, you've gone to school other places, all that. What would you like to see Bay County have that it doesn't have? You know, because I'd like us to have a cheesecake factory. That's just me.
I love Cheesecake
I love
Factory.
it. I love it.
When we go out of
You
town,
look
there's
for
a
one.
cheesecake. Yeah, we're always stopping. That would have been my answer.
Really? I took your answer. I shouldn't answer first.
Well, for the longest time, the answer was Tijuana Flats, and then they built one, and now it's gone.
That didn't seem to work out.
didn't work
I don't
out.
know if it's the location or what. I'm sad to say I like them because this is one of my favorite places in Orlando, Tijuana Flats. But I didn't go to the one here, and by the time I decided to, it was not there anymore. So I was disappointed.
I don't know where it went.
Yeah, just didn't work out.
No, that's funny. Cheesecake Factory is my answer too.
I love Cheesecake Factory. You know, they've got, you know, if you go over to Destin and all, they've got a few different restaurants, but there's still a few things missing that I'd like to see. Of course, I like the local stuff.
Yes,
you know, a lot.
And for the longest time, my answer would have been a Top Golf too.
Yeah.
And so all my boxes are getting checked.
Do you
So
play golf?
We took up golf in law school.
Yeah.
So and now my 13-year-old has really gotten into golfing too.
Oh, that's
so
great.
We've been going to Top Golf quite a bit, but he is really enjoying it. So we're trying to get him out onto the course.
Someone
as much as
asked me, they
possible.
said, is Top Golf like real golf? And I said, no, it's not at all. I said, it's the difference between going to a shooting range and being in a shootout. I said, it's just totally different. I said, but it's fun. You know, it's still, and there are ways you can improve your swing and your all that. But there's nothing like playing a real course because it's night and day, you know, but you could still improve your swing. I mean, you could learn to golf better there, but it's still not like playing real golf.
No,
know?
and I'm not very good, but we have fun.
Yeah. What's your favorite golf course to play around here?
Well, we really like playing at Bay Point, but I'm not very good.
I like Bay Point. You know, one of my favorite courses is Signal Hill.
I was about to say, we're more of Signal Hill people.
I love Signal Hill. It's just mid-range. It's not, you know, there's a little bit mixture of long and short holes, and there's, you know, I like it.
I don't feel as bad when I'm filling in the holes with sand.
Yeah. I like it. And, you know, we used to, for years, we had out there what we used to call the dump. Was out there at Majet, by the Majet ball fields and stuff. There used to be a huge golf course out there. And it was my favorite because it was real rural feeling. It kind of had that almost like Sunny Hills feel, but on a smaller scale. But, you know, it closed down.
I enjoy Sunny Hills too.
Yeah, Sunny Hills is good. It's just really long. It's an all day, you know, long course. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun playing golf.
I saw, you know, I'm not from Northwest Florida.
See, you do have, but you said you didn't have any hobbies. You do have some
We
hobbies.
like to go. Is how often do we get to do that?
Yeah.
But one of the funniest things, we had just moved up here and we played at the Panama City Country Club, and I saw one of those big squirrels.
Yeah.
They're black.
Yeah.
It was a wild thing to me. I had
Like,
never
I think
seen
they
a
call them
squirrel
fox
that
squirrels or whatever. They're beautiful.
Never seen
Yeah,
a squirrel that big. And so it was, you know, just a few years after the hurricane, so there wasn't any really trees or anything. So we've tried to make our way around the golf
They
courses
lost
here.
beautiful trees at the country club. That, I mean, just it changed the look of everywhere, you know. But it was an unfortunate thing. So what about fishing, hunting, anything? Shooting, anything like that?
We like to go shooting.
Yeah.
When we can find time, we like to go shooting.
I figured with Matthew's military background,
we like to
he likes to go to the firing range or whatever.
Yes, we like to do that. One of the things when we moved here, we bought a boat, so that's nice. my son's really into fishing. I don't know that I really have the patience to
You
fish.
go way out or just the bay and stuff?
Just the bay. We try not to. I like to see the land.
Yeah, I always feel better about seeing the land. But I know some people go way out, so you get
Our
some
boat's
monster
not.
fish.
Our boat's not equipped to go too far out, so we're.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, you've been very interesting to talk to today, and I appreciate you coming on. I feel like the people in the community need to know that, that you're there to help. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to help people that have maybe got themselves in a bad situation or not got themselves in a bad situation and are being accused of it. And they need some help. And that's what you're there for, is to help them navigate through the system.
Yes.
I appreciate you talking about it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And it's Goldhagen Law.
Goldhagen Law.
And it's on Harmon Avenue. And I'm sure they can find you, Google you up and whatever. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.